This episode is proudly supported by East Coast Beverages.
So my name's Samuel James Lentini. Really what's special about East Coast Beverages and about what we do is that we are vertically integrated. We grow, we squeeze, we bottle, we blend everything here on site. And not only that, I think what is really special is that all of the bars and restaurants and hospitality venues, they're able to come and visit our site. And once they come to our site, they see what our process is and they can actually see that the lemons, limes and oranges are all getting squeezed here, where we're not using a concentrate that comes from overseas. What is really special is that we invite people to come here. We have events here, and we're a family business, and we're able to really just work off the foundations that my grandfather built many years ago and continue a quality product range.
For more information, go to eastcoastbeverages.com.au.
In a good day, on board we have 35,000 bottles of wine, and for a regular cruise we use 20,000 of those wines, 20,000 bottles.
Hi there, lovely people. It is Dani Valent here with you, and this is Dirty Linen, food podcast, coming to you from Melbourne, Australia, most of the time, but today coming to you from onboard Oceania Vista in the Aegean Sea. This has been an amazing 12-day Mediterranean cruise, and one of the highlights has been the drinks program. If you think that wine aboard ship might be just, I don't know, whatever they could grab when they ran into port, you have quite a different experience on Vista. I'm here with the head sommelier, Fernando Monzon. Fernando, welcome to Dirty Linen.
Thank you very much. Really excited to be part of this.
I'm excited to be chatting to you. Tell us about your job.
Absolutely. So yes, as you said, I'm the head sommelier. So that puts me in charge of the entire wine operation. Everything that has to do with wine, then I need to deal with that.
And tell me about the wine program.
Absolutely. So, we have a very long selection. We try to cater for the demographics that we work with. We have a lot of American guests, so we try to keep their preferences in mind. But also we want to highlight the places that we're visiting. So we try to buy local wines. We try to source something different, something interesting that we can surprise people with.
And how do you there are a number of different restaurants aboard ship. There's an Italian restaurant, there's a Pan-Asian restaurant, there's a grill. How do you work the wine lists to go with those different restaurants?
Absolutely. So we have a core wine list that we share among all the venues, but then there are some certain products that we try to champion in those specific locations. So for example, for the Asian restaurant, we go all in with the Rieslings. Riesling is a beautiful grape that gives you a slightly sweet wine that pairs really well with Asian food. And for example, for the Italian restaurant, of course, we go full on with the Chiantis and the Amarone, Brunello, Barolo. So we have a core list, but then we try to highlight what's best for each pairing.
And of course, having the wine on the list is one thing, but helping the customers decide which wine they want is something else. And, can you talk about your staff and how you work with them, how you train them?
It's an incredible opportunity. There are 20 sommeliers in the team, and coming from 11 different countries. So loads of different experiences, lots of different backgrounds, and loads of different levels of wine knowledge. We try to bring everyone up to the same level of knowledge and make them understand what our guests want and what their preferences are. And then it's about using their individual skills and knowledge to try to create good recommendations. I always tell them that, of course, we want to keep in mind what guests prefer, the things that you drink at home, the things that you would go for normally, but also then we need to try and challenge them a little bit to try something a bit unusual, something special. And that's when I ask them, please bring your own knowledge, your own experience on board, because let's say we have some sommeliers that come all the way from Europe, and over there incredible wines, of course. So go ahead and recommend that. Don't just recommend what's on the list. Sometimes go think outside of the box and bring something from your country. Recommend them something that you have tasted, something that maybe is made, developed close to your home.
Interesting. I mean, that makes me want to learn more about your background. Fernando, tell us a bit about where you come from and how wine came into your life.
Absolutely. So I'm not one of those people that have always been, one of those people that grew up in a family in restaurants or anything. I happened to stumble upon this industry by accident. I'm all the way from Chile in South America. Huge wine industry. We make a ton of wine, incredible wines, but it wasn't really part of my life. I always saw myself doing different things when I was a kid. But then I started working in hospitality just as a way of making side money while you are in school, usual thing. And I started working with drinks as a bartender. I loved the idea of mixing cocktails, and it was fantastic. And I was actually getting really good at it. But then one day there was this one guest sitting at my bar, and he ordered a bottle of wine, not a cocktail. So I didn't have much experience, but okay, I opened the bottle of wine, I poured it, he was very happy, and we were chatting throughout the night. And at some point he said, hey, have you actually tasted this wine? And I said, no, never. You want to? I said, of course, yeah, I'm going to try it. And that was a breakthrough moment, because I could not believe that so many flavors could come out of something that was inside, trapped in a bottle. For me, flavors were something that you make by mixing things. You combine one ingredient with the other, you make a cocktail, and it tastes great. But this was something already made in a bottle that you just simply open it, and it has so many different aromas. I remember I was thinking, how come a bottle of wine can smell of popcorn? And there are wines that smell like that. So at that point I said, okay, I need to learn more about this. And yeah, lucky enough for me, as I said, wine country. There are loads of opportunities to learn about wine, both professionally or as a hobby. So that's how I started, yeah.
Wow, I love that story. Thank you to that man who ordered that bottle of wine.
Absolutely. I cannot even remember his name, or he was just a business person staying in the hotel where I was working. He was just staying for a couple of nights. I saw him that night and never again. But I will always remember the bottle of wine that I tasted. It was a Chardonnay from my country, 2011, the vintage. It was fantastic.
What a mind-opening wine that is. That's so wonderful. So what did you end up doing? How did you learn about wine from that point on?
Well, I made it my goal. I said, okay, well, I want to learn more about wine. And even though we're a wine country, the role of a sommelier is actually not popular over there. Wine is so casual that there are no sommeliers. Sommeliers are too stuffy, too fancy for Chile. So only very selected hotels will have sommeliers. So for me, at the beginning, it was just learning on my own, buying books and attending short courses. But then I decided, okay, it is time to learn professionally. I really want to become a sommelier. I want to do this as a career. So I went through the School of Sommeliers, and I passed all the 3 levels, and lucky enough, I was able to call myself a sommelier then.
So you did that in Chile?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. And what does, you mentioned the wine culture in Chile. There's a lot of wine, but it's not such a formal culture. Was that a big thing for your family to get used to, that you were going to devote yourself to being a wine professional?
It was shocking for them, because wine is never been a huge part of my family in particular, and they were almost concerned a little bit at the beginning, like working with alcohol. Is that something that you really want to do? And is that something safe to do, to drink for a job? But they realized very quickly that I was in love with it. It was a career, and I was collecting bottles that I wasn't even opening them. I hundreds of bottles. They actually told me, "Can you stop ordering wine, please?" Because I had too many boxes, and I wasn't drinking them. I just wanted to see them. I wanted to look at the label, maybe taste them one day. I was thinking of ideas for pairings, but the bottles were just there, laying there. So they understood very quickly that for me this was really a passion and a career, and it wasn't that I wanted to drink and get paid for it.
Right. And then what took you overseas for the first time?
Well, when I was working in Chile with wine, then I realized quite quickly that even though I knew a ton about wine, or what I thought it was a ton, I didn't know enough about international wines. And that for me was, I'm missing something in here. I always joke with the same that if you ask me, I could have told you the name of the dog of the guy that made the wine in Chile. But if you ask me, okay, can you tell me about some producers of Blaufränkisch from Austria? I really had nothing to say. And working in these, touristy hotels in Chile, you need that knowledge. You have all these tourists coming, business people coming, so you have to have that knowledge. And that's when I realized, okay, I want more than this. It is time to learn more about wine, but Chile is not going to be the place. I need to move to where the best wine schools of the world are, and that's in the UK.
Okay. And what was that like? Was that intimidating to go to a wine school in the UK?
It was. I always felt that I was out of place. I always thought these people know so much more about wine than me. I mean, even though that school is based in the UK, you have students coming from Spain, from France, from Italy, from winemaking countries, what we call the old world of wine. So I was really intimidated, thinking, my gosh, these people really know more than me about wine. But going through the classes, I thought, okay, you know what, I'm not too bad after all. I kind of knew one or two things and I get the hang of this. I really enjoy it. And by then I had some experience working in restaurants and hotels, so that really helped me. That it wasn't just the theory knowledge, but I also had been working on the floor. I was good at recommending things and coming up with pairing ideas. So it was shocking at the beginning, but I got used to it really quickly.
And what was your pathway to coming aboard ship, working with cruises?
Well, when I completed my wine education in London, then I thought, okay, well, I need to have the opportunity of tasting more. And in restaurants in London it's a bit more difficult because, you know, we're all a bit budget conscious. So the wines that we would serve the most would be the cheapest ones on the list. You know, people don't want to say it, but it's true. We're all budget conscious. So the second or the third cheapest wine on the list, that's what you end up opening 9 out of 10 times. So I thought, okay, where can I work that's going to take me to other places where I can taste local wines. I can taste wines that I'm not going to find in other countries, and I'm going to get to interact with people that come from all backgrounds, people that like bold wines, people that like light wines, people that like reds and whites and everything. And I thought, well, a cruise ship it is.
Really?
A floating restaurant. I mean, a floating collection of restaurants that can take you to different countries where I'm able to taste the most incredible flavors from all over the world. A few days ago, I was tasting Baga from Portugal, which is not popular at all, something that you wouldn't find in other countries. And then a couple of days later, I was tasting Abierto, a wine from Spain, that again, you're not going to see in other cities, in other countries. So having that opportunity for me was the yes, this is it.
So when you go to a port, is one of your projects you'll try to get out to local restaurants and see what's there, or wine shops? Is that what you do?
As much as possible. It's very demanding, the work we do on board, and we never stop. We never stop. When the guests are outside, we're always preparing on board for what's coming next and the dinner and everything. So it's really hard to actually have a lot of time to go outside, but I make it my priority. Wherever I am, I make a little shopping list before I go, just so I have in mind, okay, I'm going to be, for example, in Greece, that we were just there now. I want to try some bottles of Sinomabro or Aggiorgitico, some of these local grapes made there. So I'm making my little list and I go outside just, okay, where can I find this? And I try to do it quickly. I try to grab a few bottles, I bring them on board, and then I taste them.
And I mean, what do you get from that personally, from engaging with all those different wines in different destinations? Do you what excites you about it? How does it, I suppose, develop you as a person?
You know, there is so much to it. I always think, for example, that there will never be someone who really knows everything there is to know about wine. That will never exist. There is this accolade or title of a master of wine or a master sommelier that takes on average 15 or 20 years to achieve. And yet those people themselves, they say that you're never going to know everything there is to know about wine. Every day there are new styles, new varieties, new producers, new areas making wine. So it is that thirst for knowledge, of knowing that I'm never going to know it all. I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to run behind that and trying to taste as much as I can. But also I put it from a professional perspective of the more I know, the better my service, the better I can recommend wines. It happened to me, for example, one of the memories that comes to mind the most is with liquors, actually, not with wine. When I was working in London, somebody asked me about a liquor that is made in Germany, in Düsseldorf. And just because of this idea of mine of always trying things from different places, I knew that in Düsseldorf they make Killerpisch, a very specific kind of drink, but that it tastes very similar to Jägermeister. Pretty much the same flavor. So even though in that bar I didn't have this drink from Düsseldorf, I was able to recommend something that was similar, and the person who asked for that they were super happy because in the end I managed to find the flavor they were looking for.
That's so great.
So I put it the way that we sommeliers are pretty much like painters. The more flavors you have, the more flavors you taste, the more colors you have and more options you have for a good recommendation in the end.
Interesting, because I think, you mentioned being intimidated when you went to London, or I asked you if you were. I think wine is one of those fields that can be very intimidating for people. And I think, even to... not every sommelier, I suppose, can speak to you at your level, Like, I'm a wine fan, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert. I enjoy drinking it. I enjoy trying new things, but it can be quite easy to feel... ashamed by all the things I don't know.
Well, it happens, yeah. You're absolutely right. And, I think that the newer generations of sommeliers, I think that we are doing a great job at opening up wine and making it more, making it easier to understand and making it more accessible. It happened in the past that wine was super stuffy and you really needed to know about wine. I always tell the joke that I've never seen somebody walking into an ice cream shop and saying, hey, can I get some of... sorry, I don't know much about ice cream, but can I get that one? We never say that, but why do we say it with wine? Why do we say it? But so I think that the industry in general and the sommeliers were doing a very good job at showing that wine is friendly. What matters in the end more than the names and everything. What matters is what you like. Finding what you like. And if you like these, okay, maybe we can recommend something that is similar to that in flavor, in style, or region maybe. But the names, the knowledge, that's for us. For us, for the sommeliers, we need to remember those things. But for consumers, I always tell them, whatever you like, if you like it, is great then. And just worry about finding more of what you like, and that's it. Don't worry about, is it the right pairing? Am I pairing the right fish with the right wine? Don't worry about that. Nobody cares about that anymore. Honestly, if you love red wine and fish, by all means, go and enjoy it. It is going to be a good pairing for you. But yeah, just make it about yourself. Make it about enjoying wines and just trying a few different things until you find what you like.
Yeah, perfect. You make it sound very simple and accessible, which I absolutely love. So I'm assuming a cellar on a ship is a little bit different to a cellar on land. How do you look after the wine?
It is really different. There's so many things that I didn't think of when I came on board for the first time. For example, whenever you are going through a little wine class, they tell you, okay, the way you store wine is in a dark place, far from light, far from temperature changes, and in a place that doesn't move. We're in a floating, vibrating city. And for example, one of the things that changes immediately is we are not able to hold older vintages on board because older wines are too fragile. They cannot withstand the movement of the ship for too long. So we try to make an effort of only keeping younger vintages and also rotating them quite often, not keeping the same bottles on board for too long because of the vibrations on board. Even though the cellars have been built to reduce that vibration and the noise, a cruise ship is actually not the right environment for wine. Does not like to live in a cruise ship. So we try to rotate them as soon as we can and make sure that the bottles stay here for a very short period.
So when they rotate, are there some ports where there are like off-site cellars and you rotate the wine through there?
No, what I mean is whenever we are loading new wines on board, whenever we're getting our new stock of wine, whatever was held in the cellar, we push it to the front.
Okay.
We push it to the front of the restaurants just to make sure that gets used up first. And again, we don't have... Normally, you don't really care too much about that because 2 bottles of 2017 will pretty much taste the same. But for us, we're careful of that. We treat it pretty much like the way you would treat food. It doesn't matter that both bottles are a 2017 cab. The one that was on board first, that one has to leave first.
Got it. I see. So very rigorous stock control.
Indeed.
And so how many bottles of wine would be on board at any one time?
Oh, I love answering this because it's such an impressive... It puts things into perspective. In a good day, on board, we have 35,000 bottles of wine.
Oh my God.
35,000. And for a regular cruise... for a regular voyage, a 10-day voyage, we use 20,000 of those wines, 20,000 bottles. The other 15,000 are the stock we're holding of these older vintages and the wines that, people buy for a special occasion, the premium champagnes. But regular wines, we go through 20,000 of them.
Well, I'm glad people are enjoying themselves.
We're keeping the wine industry alive.
That's amazing. Is there a wine that you think works particularly well on ship? Like, is there something that you would turn to first?
You know, it's going to sound a bit different, but to me, the answer to that question is champagne. Champagne, absolutely. For starters, people coming on board, they're coming to celebrate. They are celebrating their holiday. Maybe this is their honeymoon. Maybe this is their retirement celebration. They come with that sense of happiness. So when you think of a celebration, automatically you think of opening a good bottle of champagne. But then when you take it to the day-to-day life, for us sommeliers, a bottle of champagne is the perfect wild card for a pairing. When you don't know what to pair with your food, trust me, champagne is the answer. Champagne. You're having fish, champagne. You're having pasta, steak. You're having dessert. Champagne will always go well.
Great.
So for me, the best wine to have on board, a good champagne.
Whatever the question, champagne is the answer.
I'm
taking that away with me.
I love that.
Fernando, there are the restaurants, as we've spoken about, but there are also sometimes very special wine dinners. Can you talk about some of these other experiences that you're part of here?
Absolutely. Well, I love those. Those are, I always say that the highlight of my cruise, the highlight of my week. Because yes, apart from the regular operation we do, we also trying to showcase our care and our commitment to quality with food and cuisine and wine. We do host some special wine dinners on board with some specific themes. For example, right now we are hosting this new wine dinner with the wines of Gerard Bertrand, the pioneer or the largest biodynamic wine producer in the world right now. And that is something that I'm really happy about. I mean, we have an incredible selection of wines paired with dishes that were designed specifically to go with those wines. And it wasn't the other way around. It wasn't that the food came first and then we found the wine. We chose the wines that we wanted to showcase, and then our chefs started creating and developing dishes that would highlight those wines. So yeah, it's incredible opportunities. We try to focus on offering good value, and I really think they are, but also they are an incredible opportunity to learn more about wine, to taste bottles that are a bit expensive. You wouldn't buy those bottles. I'm talking about wines that cost $400 American a bottle. So you wouldn't just go and buy that bottle yourself, but when you get a sample of that, with a sample of these and other 6 wines that you get to taste throughout your meal, it is fantastic. You get to see how we come up with the idea of pairings. You get to learn about the style of wine in particular, and of course you get to have an incredible meal.
Well, I guess if we reflect on, working in restaurants where everyone's ordering the third cheapest bottle, that is quite a different work experience, isn't it?
It is. I was sharing it a few days ago when I was hosting one of these events, and I told people, I said, you know what? 10, 12 years ago, when I was going through my wine education, I was learning about the wines that I'm pouring today. And what's funny is, back then, I thought, I'm never going to taste these wines because I'm from Chile, far away from the rest of the world. In Chile, you will struggle to find any wines that are not from Chile. Of course, we have thousands of different wines from Chile. Why would we need anything else? But if you're thinking about tasting wines from France or Spain, in Chile, you would really struggle to find them. So when I learned about these wines, and you have to learn them because these are iconic producers, these are the people that built wine history pretty much. So when I was learning about them, I always thought, they're so cool, but I'm never going to taste them. I'm never going to get to hold those bottles. And nowadays, 12 years later, here I am opening those wines, and I get to taste them every time that we do this event. I love it.
That's amazing. So Fernando, what's next for you? What ambitions do you have for the future?
At a professional level, working on board, I want to continue traveling. There are so many places that I haven't visited yet. Even though I've been doing this for a few years now, I have been unlucky enough that, for example, I've never done a contract in Asia. Never been there, never. Singapore, Japan, still on my list. I've never been there, and I want to try the drinks from those areas. I mean, the sakes from Japan, the beers they make, the whiskeys they make, I want to taste them all. So there is a lot more traveling on my bucket list, but also then at a personal level, my dream is to open a wine school. That is my goal. I want to help more the newer generations and younger sommeliers. I want to help them achieve their goal. I want to teach them about wine, but also prepare them for this experience, prepare them to go to other countries, to work in a cruise line, to learn more about what the rest of the world is doing in terms of wine, and not just what's happening in Chile.
Wow, I love that ambition. It's so generous to share your knowledge in that way. Fernando, it's such a pleasure to drink wine with you, but to speak to you. Thank you for helping make this experience a truly wonderful one. And you can be sure that I have been drinking the champagne.
Fantastic place. And next time you open a bottle, you need to let me in.
Definitely. This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta @Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.